We are now a little over a month into the NBA season, and it's been a blast with the league having more parity than ever in my lifetime. There have been so many compelling games and storylines that for once have to do with the game itself and not the looming free agency of a big-name superstar. Not that there's anything wrong with that, of course. There have been pleasant surprises, disappointing teams, and yet another fun rookie class. So with that, let us get into some of the things that have caught my attention to this point in the season. I'll save the Devin Booker victory lap for a much more in-depth video because Devin Booker stands like myself deserve it, but the Phoenix Suns have been an awesome story so far to start the year. The Suns' offseason plans of trading for and signing actual NBA players, as well as hiring a good NBA coach to help their young budding star, has worked out even better than the most optimistic Suns fan probably expected. The Suns completely transformed into a different team. They jumped from 29th in defensive rating last season to about middle of the pack so far this year, and on offense, they made an even bigger jump, going from 28th in offensive rating in the previous year to a top 10 offense so far this season. This has mostly been done without second-year center and the number one pick in the 2018 draft DeAndre Ayton, and it will be interesting to see how head coach Monty Williams juggles the rotation when he comes back. Ayton is obviously your future, but Aaron Baines has been playing out of his mind and has done the little things that has led to winning games. The Ricky Rubio signing over the summer got mixed reviews. I certainly wasn't a fan of it, but it has worked out like a charm, especially for Booker, who has had a usage rate of over 30% the last two seasons. For the first time in years, this roster makes sense. The coaching is competent, and the play style fits everything around that. Couple that with a few franchise cornerstones, and you have a recipe for a turnaround that happens faster than many probably expected. I could talk about Karl Anthony Towns, my forever Sixer Robert Covington, Josh Okogie, or the interesting flashes that Jarrett Culver has shown so far, but I want to talk about Andrew Wiggins. Yes, I know so far it's a small sample and we should wait and see how long this lasts, but I just want to acknowledge the play of Wiggins to start the year. He has legitimately played some of the best basketball of his very, very disappointing career, and I'm being nice when I describe it that way. He has shown better passing chops, better scoring efficiency, and he is cutting out a lot of the mid-range junk that he has taken in his career to date. More importantly, he is at least trying on defense instead of being a complete tire fire. Yes, the improvement is also relative to how bad he has been so far in his career, but he has legitimately improved his play to a point where it has helped the Timberwolves get off to a decent start. The Timberwolves have also gone to Andrew Wiggins in crunch time. Minnesota's long overdue change in offensive philosophy has also helped create this version of Wiggins, but even then, I think if someone becomes the butt of all the jokes on the basketball internet at large, I think it's only fair to at least recognize if someone is actually making strides, no matter how bad they've been before. We all knew the Raptors' record last season when Kawhi Leonard sat out games. That record, along with the talent left over on the team after Kawhi and Danny Green left for the City of Angels, is the reason why the Raptors were still considered a solid playoff team in the East going into this season. You know, somewhere in the 4th to 5th seed range. They are way more than that, though. With how this team has been playing so far this year, they could find themselves in the Eastern Conference Finals again. And it's all thanks to the improvement of the Raptors' young talent, most notably Pascal Siakam. His herky-jerky, quick-footed style of play at 6'9" has taken yet another level this year. His scoring and efficiency has jumped across the board, his three-point shooting numbers have taken another jump, and head coach Nick Nurse has given Siakam the ultra green light in order to explore just how good he can be. He has been replacing most of Kawhi's offensive production. To this point, he is proving that his new extension that he signed last month, which goes into effect next year, will most likely be an underpay. The other guy who has also improved is OG Anunoby. Based off his rookie year in the 2017-18 season, he did not make the type of strides you would have hoped for last year, but considering he was dealing with family tragedy and then missed most of the playoffs with an appendectomy, I think you can see how it linked to his play. Now that he is inserted into the starting lineup, OG has had a great start to the year, putting up career numbers. He is showing off the all-around production many draft experts thought he was capable of before his knee injury at Indiana and then heading into the draft. He is doing a little bit of everything from scoring to rebounding and being a Swiss Army knife on the defensive end of the floor, switching all over the place. Any lineup that involves both OG and Siakam have been killing teams, outscoring opponents by an absurd amount of points per 100 possessions. I can't forget about the 2 point guards. Mainstay Kyle Lowry was having a career year to start the season before breaking his thumb, posting career highs in effective field goal percentage, 2-point percentage, and 3-point percentage, while still doing all the little Lowry things basketball nerds have come to love. Fred VanVleet is also flourished, starting in the backcourt next to Lowry. Freddie is shooting the ball well from 3 on a good amount of attempts, has almost tripled his free throw attempts, and so far, his assists per game are at a career high by a mile. He is also playing his usual scrappy defense. With the younger guys taking the next step in their game, while still having the savvy veteran presence of Lowry and a Marc Gasol, the Raptors have maintained their status as a really good team, and by the end of the year, they could be a contender. Honestly, I can't say I'm surprised that Portland has been awful to start the season. I did pick them to miss the playoffs, mostly because of the offseason they had. They lost most of their defensive wing depth, traded for Hassan Whiteside, who continues to just not care, and basically made zero meaningful moves to try and capitalize off of last year's Western Conference Finals appearance. The only way I saw this team making the playoffs, given the landscape of the Western Conference before the season started, was if Dame Dalla took another leap by averaging over, let's say, 30 a game with good shooting efficiency, getting to the free throw line while keeping his assist averages. Well, he has been doing that, and the Blazers are still bad. For starters, Zach Collins' shoulder injury intensifies the Blazers' lack of depth and size at the power forward position. Guys like Mario Hezonja, Kent Bazemore, Rodney Hood, and journeyman Anthony Tolliver are being asked to fill those minutes because they don't have any other big wings to play at either the 3 or the 4, like they have had in the past with Mo Harkless and Al-Farouq Aminu. They are so desperate for good minutes from that position that they even went and signed Carmelo Anthony. Whiteside and Skal Labissiere are trying to patch the hole left by Yusuf Nurkic's gruesome injury. Also, I'm not convinced that Nurkic will even be the same player if and when he comes back from that leg injury he suffered last year, let alone be the magic solution to all of the Blazers' problems. We can point to CJ McCollum's slow start as another reason, but I'm not worried about him. To me, the Blazers look like a roster that's cobbled together with cast-offs surrounding their dynamic backcourt. I really don't see this team riding the ship. Rather, I actually think it's a sinking one. They are already losing ground in a competitive Western Conference and have had some really bad losses. On a positive side note, I absolutely love Anthony Simons. The Blazers got a good one. So for the last 4 years, Dwight Howard has been, how can I say this? Awful. He had been on 4 teams the last 4 seasons, and each time he left that team on bad terms, rubbing teammates the wrong way, demanding a bigger role on offense when he was never a go-to scorer, and pouting when he didn't get his way. Last year, it seemed he played his last NBA season after he only played 9 games with the Washington Wizards before an injury to his, gluteus maximus knocked him out for the year. So with that background, I think it's safe to say that no one thought the Lakers would have a steal so far after signing Dwight Howard to the minimum back in August. Dwight has been relegated to a bench role for the first time in his career, and he is actually playing the role well. He is playing hard, protecting the rim, and scoring as a roll man off of pick and roll or standing in the dunker spot. This version of Dwight Howard has been productive, impactful, and part of the reason why the Lakers have surprised people with a top 3 defensive rating. He is even in closing lineups. As mentioned before, we will see how long this lasts given his history, but so far, so good.